しられを引きかれほやて投げたんかれとんかしられ吐き捨てたれほやて We are わかんなねひぴ We are 泣かせじんでほやて Hey 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 わかたんかれわかたんかれわかたんかれわかたんかれ We are わかんな We are わかんな We are わかんな We are わかんなほやてだほやてだほやてだほやて Hey 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 わかたんかれとんかしられ
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the Strong and the Geek Podcast.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
We're here to talk movies, TV, video games, and comic books. And of course, we're going to pepper in some funny jokes and some awesome music. What are we listening to this week, Josh?
Well, if this one rings you in with a wanting to shake your butt a little bit, this is Great Spirit by Armin van Buuren, who I did see in concert, but he did not play this track.
Did he record those vocals himself?
Actually, no, those vocals are from it's Armin van Buuren with the Highlight Tribe. And so the Highlight Tribe, I checked out some of their stuff also when I first heard that song. Their stuff by themselves is kind of but it's a lot of those style vocals and then different kind of EDM music. But it has very, like, Native American, but also, like, Indian, like, from India, like, vibes.
Yeah, that was pretty sick.
Yeah, it's a cool track, definitely a hype track, makes us want to do shots at, 1 o'clock
Maybe
on
want to
Sunday.
do that Maori warrior dance where they're
the
sticking their
tongue?
tongue out. Yeah, I don't know what it's called.
Wait, by the way, did you say who you are?
I was about to. I, as per always, am your host, Ben Ramirez. With me today is my special guest co-host.
Not some Maori warrior with his tongue sticking out.
Yeah, I was going to say not Dwayne The Rock Johnson, but
It's
that's
the same
basically
thing.
the same thing.
It's literally the exact same thing.
Dwayne The Not Johnson over here.
So we have an excellent show for you this afternoon. We are going to be discussing cartoons that we think should be adapted into live-action films. But first, should I say, what'd you get into this week?
Okay, well, it's actually been like a week and a half since our last episode, and so there's been...
Who's counting?
Lots of stuff to get into. I have been on a crazy Star Wars binge.
By the way, sorry to interrupt you. Pardon me, listeners. I have been getting over a cold this week, so if I cough here or there, just ignore it.
Fair enough. I've been getting into Star Wars a lot the past week or so.
We've been getting into Star Wars a lot our whole lives.
No, I mean, like, particular Star Wars things that I hadn't before.
Okay.
And I think it's because I'm still playing the Technomancer, and it dawned on me, I was like, why do I like this game? The story is not great. Like, I've just been kind of skipping most of it because I want to get back to the game itself. The graphics are very bad.
Which for an RPG is weird.
And,
Only the opposite is true.
Well, the story's not terrible so far, but it's not like... I don't care as much.
And if you're confused with what the Technomancer is, our last episode, last week,
last episode,
Ben explained what that was and gave his review for it.
Yeah,
so.
But now that I've put like 20 hours into it, I've put a lot more time into it. I figured out the reason I like this game. It's because it's the Star Wars RPG that I want to play.
So it's basically Star Wars.
You straight up use a double-sided staff that you use your electrical powers on, so it looks like a lightsaber.
They did that on purpose.
You have lightning powers.
They did that on purpose.
But it also has really cool RPG elements, like you would see. It was like if you took Knights of the Old Republic and Star Wars: The Force Unleashed and took the action elements of the one and the RPG elements of the other and put them together. You even have companions that you can like outfit and talk to and whatnot and set up romantic relationships with.
A la Knights of the Old Republic.
Or any game.
Yeah, but Knights of the Old Republic was one of like the earliest ones to do that sort of thing.
So I realized, I'm playing a Star Wars game that takes place on Mars instead of a galaxy far, far away.
So that leads us to this week you got involved in some other Star Wars stuff?
Yeah, well, I started watching Star Wars Rebels, which is something that I've been
phenomenal.
meaning to do for a long time. I've watched the first season and about half of the second season, and it's really good.
I hear it's really good.
Basically, the way they modeled it was the first season was their New Hope. The second season gets a lot darker, and it's their Empire. Vader gets introduced in, like, the last frame of the first season, so now he's the primary antagonist in the second season.
Right.
And he is super menacing. You can tell where Gareth Edwards got his inspiration from seeing... obviously from some of the Darth Vader comics and whatnot, but that's where they definitely got their inspiration for this monstrous Vader,
Right.
That we're seeing. Also, it introduced his former apprentice from the Clone Wars, Ahsoka Tano,
yeah.
and she's a member of the crew now. And at this point in the universe, this is about 5 years before the events of A New Hope.
And Rogue One.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people don't even know about Darth Vader yet. He's kind of like the secret weapon of the Empire. So when they first see him, they're like, what was that thing? They don't even say who was that. He's a monster to them. And then once Ahsoka feels him, and they like feel each other's presence, he's like, Anakin Skywalker's apprentice is still alive. It is now my goal to kill her, because I have to cut off everything that reminds me of being that person before. And she's like, oh, no, we have to run and hide. There's nowhere we can go.
I'll just tell you, spoiler, I have already watched what happens later on with Ahsoka and Darth Vader, so you'll be pleasantly surprised when you get to see it.
Well, I have heard that they have a one-on-one clash.
They do.
And I did also hear
awesome.
that at one point Vader's mask gets broken, and you hear both the voice actors of James Earl Jones and who voiced him in the Clone Wars.
Hayden Christensen. Oh, no,
No, in the series, yeah. And they overlap the vocals to show you that, like, beneath the mask, maybe it's still Anakin.
I can neither confirm nor deny. I'll just say it's a very cool sequence.
Yeah. So I'm excited to dig deeper into the series.
Wait a minute, what the hell am I talking about? It's a Strong the Geek. I can confirm, yes. Yeah. Exactly what you said happens.
Yeah. Well, and again, I know that because I watched a thing. I don't know if anyone subscribes to the channel for Frederator, but they do their 107 facts on whatever cartoon it is. And I watched the 100. Actually, they've done 2 of them, so there's 214 facts for Star Wars Rebels.
There you go.
They're fun videos. They teach you a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff.
Cool.
The other thing I did was I listened to a seminar series from last year. That's a podcast series called From Story Wonks, which was Star Wars and Story. It's just a lecture series done by a guy who is a guy named Alistair Stevens, who I don't remember his credentials, but obviously he knows narrative. I assume he's probably like a
writer,
an English professor or something like that.
Okay.
But specifically, he knows movie structure.
Right.
And it's him explaining what works narratively well in some of the movies and what doesn't, and why he doesn't talk about extended universe. He doesn't talk about this.
Just Star Wars 1 through 7.
So Star Wars, 1 through 7. Because
and now Rogue One.
No, he hasn't done Rogue One yet. Actually, when the seminar series started, Force Awakens hadn't come out yet. And then he did an additional episode for Force Awakens a few months later when it came out.
Well, cool.
So he said that he's going to continue the series into the future. But there was some really interesting stuff in there. I didn't focus so much on the nature of the Force. And he talked about how in Empire Strikes Back, we see this idea of the Force as taught by Yoda. And it opened my... like. I always thought Yoda was a really cool character. Now Yoda's my favorite character in Star Wars. After the way he was like kind of explaining his role in it, and the idea that the whole do or do not, there is no try, which to most people is like, well, yeah, that's a logical fallacy. You have to try to do something. But it's the idea that if you're trying to do something, there's the idea that you are doing it. Do or do not means the Force will do it.
Exactly.
Don't try to do it, because that's Luke trying to do it.
Right.
And the entire series of Star Wars, he argues the actual story, the protagonist, is the Force. And the antagonist is Luke in his mind. Him fighting, accepting the Force.
Well, sure, because until he finally accepts the Force, at the end of Return of the Jedi, he finally wins.
And that's the same thing with A New Hope. When he accepts the Force and just is a conduit for it. So he's like...
and Rey, even in 7, Rey is the same way.
The point he makes is like, is Vader the real bad guy? Is the Emperor the real bad guy? No, Luke's own doubt is the bad guy, the antagonist in the story.
Vader's the badass guy.
Yeah, he's a conflict, but he's not the actual thing holding the hero back.
He's the best.
The thing holding the hero back is himself.
Right.
And that was very interesting. Another thing that I heard, which was not part of the same seminar series, but it was just kind of an interesting fact, was that in Empire, we see Yoda teaching Luke, obviously, and we see Luke use the Force 3 times in that movie to really affect the world around him. The first time is when he's in the ice cave being held by the Wampa.
Yeah.
The second time is on Dagobah when he's lifting the rocks.
Yes.
And the third time is when he calls out to Leia at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
The trick is, every time when they explain the world in a completely different way, i.e. upside down.
Right.
It's metaphoric. The idea is like, he's in complete control despite what you see on the card.
Right. Well, or maybe even go further back to like Peter being crucified upside down.
Yeah.
And like in being total at peace with his religious beliefs. Same thing as kind of being reflected with Luke being at peace with the Force when he's upside down.
Yeah, and Anakin was Jesus, and everyone knows that Jesus was actually Peter's father, and that's why he became the first pope.
And Peter Rabbit.
And he was also a rabbit.
Yeah, obviously.
Because Jesus can give birth to anyone he wants.
That took a strange turn.
Daniel name a story.
All right, no sacrilege. Okay, so
yes.
Any other Star Wars bits? Or is that it from the Galaxy Far Away?
I think I've gone on for about 10 minutes, so... basically, Star Wars Rebels is good. That Story Wonks series is also good. I suggest everyone check it out.
What would be on your new scale? Your 3?
Good.
For both?
Yeah, for sure.
I keep forgetting you don't use numbers now.
And Technomancer, I'm still giving a good.
Yeah, okay, well, there you go. So, switch gears. So, you were in the Star Wars realm. I, this week, excuse me, had the opportunity to start working on my New Year's resolution and obtain 2 of the first DC Rebirth trade paperbacks, the graphic novels, the collected editions. So I got Superman Volume 1, Son of Superman, and Batman Rebirth Volume 1, I Am Gotham. So let me talk about Superman.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with I Am Gotham.
So out of the box, let me just say, these are both phenomenal. I had already heard the DC Rebirth was good, but these 2 are probably, in my opinion, obviously I haven't read the other ones. Aquaman 1 came out and the Green Arrow 1 came out. Next week, I'll get to pick up Flash 1 and I think Justice League 1, but it might be 2 weeks. And Nightwing 1 comes out also this month. But let me just go on and say, if these 2 are like the tent poles of DC Rebirth, they're going to be fine. So let's start with Superman, Son of Superman. So this basically showcases that at the end of the New 52, Superman, the New 52 Superman, died. Inexplicably, kind of just, well, I mean, he like was vaporized, sort of.
Okay.
So it was revealed a little bit before that the Superman from the Flashpoint Superman, who was married to Lois Lane, they survived. They actually made it through to the New 52 world, the post-Flashpoint world, and had a son named Jonathan. But they've been living in secret because this Superman saw the New 52 Superman and realized, oh, we're on a different Earth. This is all different. There can't be 2 Superman, all this stuff. So he was kind of playing in the shadows. They move out to, it's kind of like an Old Man Logan thing. They move out to like a cabin and are living in this cabin like their peaceful little life. So, anyway, that leads up to DC Rebirth. Superman's gone now. So this Superman decides to take up the mantle of Superman again. He was kind of like doing stuff in secret around the world, but now he's actually become Superman once more, and he's teaming up with the Justice League and stuff. But this is the old Superman. So this story kind of goes with now his son. He's like teaching his son. His son finds out who he is and that he's the son of Superman, all this stuff. So this book kind of takes place with him now kind of teaching Jonathan to be the new Superboy. And so John's still learning to control his powers and this and kind of like learn the ropes. So it was really like kind of like a coming of age style story. And I will tell you, the family dynamic between Superman, Superboy, and Lois Lane is the best part of this book.
Yeah.
It is so humanizing and well written. And just makes them such, for being, Superman's always perceived as like this god, but this totally makes him a man who's just trying to take care of his family. So at one point, just to fast forward a little bit, the main conflict is with a couple different villains, so to speak. But at the end, in the climax, they're being attacked, and they go to try and get away from what's happening. They go to the moon, to the Justice League. Actually, Batman's like Bat Cave on the moon. It's revealed he has one.
Huh. Of course he does.
Because it's Batman. So Superboy and Superman are fighting this the enemy, and Lois Lane goes and like just wants to help out in some way, but obviously she's just a human. So she goes, and Batman has like this giant like mech suit in the moon base, and she gets into it so that it's Lois, Superboy, and Superman fighting this thing. It's sweet. And honestly, I if you have the chance to either watch the YouTube video covering it, if you're not going to read it or whatever, please do. This is one that I would love if DC Animated made a version of, because it was really good. So yeah, Son of Superman, Volume 1 of Rebirth, I'd have to give a 9 out of 10. It was great.
Awesome.
Some of the artwork and a couple of the issues could have been a little bit tidier, but that's a minor complaint.
So his name is Jonathan Kent?
Yep.
Okay, I was gonna make a prediction, but
his middle names are his middle name or his two middle names I forget, but they're after Lois's parents, or grandparents or something. But Jonathan, he's named after.
Do you remember what his middle names are?
I just said I can't remember.
Okay, I was gonna make a prediction, but I guess not, because his name is Jonathan Kent, not Jonathan something with a C. See, there's a weird narrative device that's been done to death. But like once you realize it, you can figure out a bunch of things. If a character in a movie or a video game or comic or whatever is either named Shepard or his initials are JC, he's ultimately going to sacrifice himself for the good of
no.
else.
Okay, he's named Jonathan Kent because he's named after Pa Kent.
Yeah,
who's Jonathan Kent.
I'm just saying it's now like you'll go back and you'll think about movies and video games or whatever, and if their name is either something Shepard or if their initials are JC, like John Carter or There's
Jiminy Cricket.
There's a crazy amount of them that are initials are JC.
I don't think that's what's going on here.
They will. It's a weird trope in naming characters. It's really crazy. But when you were saying Jonathan, in my mind I was saying Jonathan Clark because I forgot that it's Clark Kent.
It's CK.
Kent Clark.
No, I think it has maybe JK like a joke. No, it's just he's named after Superman.
Fair enough.
After Pa Kent.
Fair enough. I was sitting there. I was like, I'm gonna make a prediction. That character's gonna kill himself.
So yeah, so Son of Superman's great. But let me tell you about I Am Gotham.
Oh
so
yeah.
Batman Rebirth Volume 1, I Am Gotham. This is telling the story. It kind of opens up with. There's this plane disaster, and this plane's going down, and Batman, and I'm not making this up, it's nuts. He finds his way, the wings of the plane are like blown off or something, like they're damaged. So Batman wakes his way to the top of the plane and has bat cables like hooked to it, and it's holding it, and it's talking to Alfred through his thing, and it's maneuvering the plane from the top of the plane while it's crashing, because he's trying to get it out of Gotham and into the bay.
Right.
Alfred's telling him, like, they have this moment where Alfred's telling him, like, listen, Bruce, you're going to be able to slow it down and get it into the bay and with no casualties inside the plane, but you're going to die.
Yeah, he tells him, you're not making it out of this one.
Bats just tells him, like, it's like a really emotional moment where Alfred's, like, in tears, and he tells him, like, I want you to tell Dick he was, like, the greatest soldier I ever had, and Damien, I love him, I'm his father also, and like just tell everybody. And then there's one moment like right before they're about to crash, and he's like Alfred, would they be proud of me? And he's like, yes, Master Bruce, and I am too. And then suddenly about to crash in the water, and it's the plane gets stopped, and he goes Clark because he thinks Superman caught it, but it turns out it's not. It's this hero who calls himself Gotham, and then a girl,
and
Gotham Girl, right?
Yeah.
And they look sweet. I thought their designs were really.
Oh yeah, no, their costumes are
really cool. So
and I like the idea of a character who's just like, no, I'm Gotham.
Yes. So then they go, and basically that was how the first chapter, the first issue ended. They're like, hello, Batman, I'm Gotham, and this is Gotham Girl. We're here to like save the city.
And immediately every reviewer's like, how bad are these people going to turn out to be?
Yeah, instantly you're like, these are good. This is going to be the villain.
This is going to turn out badly.
So basically, long story short, Gotham and Gotham Girl are Hugo Strange and the Psycho Pirate
No. Gotham Girl aren't Hugo Strange and the Psycho Pirate.
Right, no. So what happens is, Hugo Strange is using Psycho Pirate, and Psycho Pirate isn't a really super well-known villain for people who are mainstream, like, DC fans.
Yeah.
But he huge role in, like, Crisis on Infinite Earths.
I was about to say, he did actually play a really big part
So
in
Psycho
Crisis.
Pirate's power is that he can control all emotions, and basically, if he uses his power on you, he can make you feel the most exaggerated version of any emotion. And he can even do this to, like, gods, and make gods go crazy if they're mad with rage or
Yeah, he's
something.
actually really powerful.
He's super powerful.
If he was a little bit more self-confident, he'd be a serious villain.
Psycho Pirate seriously his own worst enemy. So what happens is Psycho Pirate, he whammies Gotham Girl and makes her super terrified and afraid. And he whammies Gotham and makes Gotham basically insane with anger. Gotham kills a bunch of people, so Bruce is like, no, we were going to work together and help, but I can't let you do this. So they battle everything. Gotham ends up dying. Gotham Girl kind of loses her mind, and Bruce is talking to her, and they have this really humanizing moment where she's like talking about how she's so sad and she's just so freaking out. And she misses her brother so much, and Bruce reveals himself and says, like, no, I understand what it's like to lose the person who means the most to you in the world, and I miss them too, like, I understand. And so it really had a good, like, closure at the end. But just the writing, the artwork, I was nervous about Scott Snyder leaving Batman's main book. I mean, he's on All-Star Batman, but no, it's Tom King? I think Tom King. Might be Tim King. I forget. I actually met him.
He's a king.
I actually met him, the new author. I actually met him at a Baltimore Comic Con for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's Tom. But I am no longer worried at all. The writing was excellent. The storytelling was great. I have to give it a 9.5.
Now, for people that are confused as to Gotham and Gotham Girl, they were kids that got powers.
Yeah, they
I don't remember how.
They're brother and sister. And they end up... That's actually kind of, like, not super well explained.
Yeah, I do know they explain that, like, if they continue... The more she uses her powers, the earlier she'll die.
Yeah. So their powers are, like... It's, like, kind of, like, experimental stuff.
Yeah.
That if they use their powers, it affects their, like, lifespan and stuff.
Yeah, they're, like... it takes years off their life.
Right, yeah. But it's kind of irrelevant almost to the story. Like, you're reading it and you're not concerned with how they got their powers. Like, it's whatever. It's a superhero.
Well, I feel like they did that either so that it's something that is overcome eventually, or to let you know, like, this character's got a shelf life.
Yeah.
Eventually, she's gonna sacrifice herself and use all of her
Or
power
something,
up in
yeah.
one big thing to save the world.
And they're totally, and for this one, a narrative device. Like, 100%. But it's good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, 9.5. I cannot wait for Volume 2 to keep going on, to figure out what's going on with the Monster Men are mentioned a lot throughout it. I don't know if that's a wink to the old Hugo Strange Monster Men days, or if something's going to come about that. Mm-hmm. I would love to see it. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to Detective Comics to see the other stuff that's going on with Batman, and then All-Star Batman with, see how Scott Snyder's Rebirth goes. But yeah, DC Rebirth right now, I'm sold.
Awesome, man. Well, I think we've been rambling on long enough. I think it's about time we talk about our Geek of the Week!
Chugga chugga, da 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 da.
Hey, what up?
Hey, you know what? Actually, this is really crazy. The Geek of the Week this week actually combines Star Wars, like you were talking about, and Batman, like I was talking about.
And is...
Political satire.
And is also connected in a way to the Geek of the Week from last week.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So the Geek of the Week this week is the one, the only, Luke Skywalker and the Joker himself, Mark Hamill.
Can you imagine that? One of the most iconic good guys of all time, and arguably the most iconic bad guy of all time. Same guy.
Well, what happened was I actually saw an interview with him where he said that he was talking about how he originally got cast as Joker. He originally wanted to do like Two-Face or Hugo Strange or someone else. Mm-hmm. When they told him, no, you're going to read for Joker, he was like, Luke Skywalker cannot be the Joker. But yeah, so Mark Hamill this week tweeted out a him reading something in his iconic Joker voice. And it was excellent. And we will retweet this or tweet the link to it or whatever. But the funny thing is, he tweeted himself reading the tweets of, how should I put this? The president-elect.
Yeah. Soon the president.
Very soon.
Very soon.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Trump has been tweeting out, whether you're a fan or not, or voted for him or whatever, we don't tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Fuck Trump. No,
we're telling you to fuck him.
No. He's been tweeting out a lot of things that I think across the board people are like, okay, he needs to maybe calm down a bit.
Yeah, he does seem to be pretty quick to the trigger.
Yeah, it's just not very presidential.
Yeah, for someone who's so against PC culture or whatever, he gets triggered very easily.
Yeah, especially with him talking about how he has the best temperament.
Yeah,
and then
we need to give him trigger warnings. Let him know. I think he needs a safe space.
I think he does too.
Yeah,
he needs a safe space.
He's a special snowflake.
So anyway,
a bit of a cuck.
So what happened was, yep, pretty much. So what happened was he was tweeting about Meryl Streep and he was tweeting about Arnold Schwarzenegger and all this silliness for a president. But so Mark Hamill read his tweet in his Joker voice, and I'm not kidding you. This tweet legitimately, like, if you didn't know it was Donald Trump tweeted this, you would think it was just Mark Hamill reading a Joker line.
Yeah.
Like, it's so well done, and then he adds like the laugh and everything. It's great. So, because you it's a cool / nerd / kind of, you know how we feel about it kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you're the Geek of the Week, Mark. We love you.
Absolutely. You know what he should do is call up Clancy Brown and see if he can, like, he'll do the ones that are just wackadoo bullshit as the Joker.
And Luthor.
And then have Clancy Brown do the ones that are like, a president shouldn't do that, right?
Yeah.
But it's still somewhat presidential, where he's like, yeah, I made the jobs come back, you know, whatever.
We're talking about like building the wall and like
that one would sound better if Lex Luthor's reading
especially if there was one about like those immigrant aliens need to get
Yeah,
out of here.
absolutely.
Like, have Luthor read
Can
them.
you imagine if we have Mark Hamill and Clancy Brown sitting in a room with a couple cups of coffee and a microphone, like they're gonna do a podcast and they're just reading Donald Trump's tweets?
Could we please, for the next
As
4 years, honestly, if
Joker and Lex Luthor.
if we get that for the next 4 years, I'll actually be okay with the state of the United States of America.
And then Bernie Sanders would be someone just read his, or we get Kevin Conroy to read his anti-them tweets.
Yes, that would be fantastic. And then every time like Trevor Noah or some like pundit reads one, we could have like the guy who does the voice of Alfred read those.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be great. All right, so on to the main event of the evening. We decided that we haven't talked about our own thoughts and pitching movies and that kind of stuff. We've done it a few times on the show, and people usually tend to enjoy it.
Yeah, we haven't done a pitch episode in a long time. And another thing,
We've done a lot of bitch episodes lately.
Yeah. But another thing about it is very recently in Hollywood over the past couple of years, and now definitely going into the future, there's a big thing of taking old cartoon movies and bringing them live action.
Particularly with Disney doing Jungle, basically its whole gallery is trying to push into live action.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's easier to make a movie off of something you already hold the script
make a whole new movie.
than to hire a screenwriter.
Which, and to be fair, a lot of them are really cool.
Yeah.
Like the new Beauty and the Beast is coming out in March, and it looks
The trailers. I love the way that they did the Beast. It looks really good.
The Jungle Book wasn't bad.
I didn't see the Jungle Book, but
it wasn't bad.
I was told it was really good, and if nothing else, the animals look like animals talking,
which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're
doing the Lion King.
Yeah.
Which I think is late this year, if not early next year.
And if you even go back farther, I think this trend began they did it with 101 Dalmatians back in the day.
Yeah.
And that was not horrible.
And we've also gotten some gritty reboots, like Alice in Wonderland,
right,
or Snow White and the Huntsman.
Right. I hear James and the Giant Peach they're doing live action.
We got the BFG.
Yes.
Which that's a book series, but they made a cartoon out of it, didn't
BFG was a book, one book by Roald Dahl.
Okay.
The same guy did Willy Wonka. But
they did a
probably.
I think I remember them doing a cartoon of it.
I mean, you go farther back. We had Lord of the Rings was a cartoon before it was a movie.
Yeah, but we're going to be talking more about things that are famous for being a cartoon movie, not things that are famous for being a book or whatever.
So,
or a comic.
My first thought here was, and hear me out. When I was a wee lad,
a young warthog.
Yes, I was always a big fan of a cartoon show that actually debuted the year of my birth, 1991. It ran for quite a long time. I'm talking about the show that involves some babies getting into some mischief.
Oh, Ed, Edd n Eddy.
No. Dun, 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 dun,
I love Cat Dog. Yeah, that one.
No, it's the Rugrats.
Oh, okay.
Obviously.
The one about the Rugrats.
So hear me out here. You know, in the vein of like Look Who's Talking and Baby Geniuses, where they have those movies where they use babies and make the babies talk.
Yeah, or Look Who's Talking 2.
Wasn't that about the dog?
No, that was Look Who's Talking Now.
Oh, okay, cool.
They did Look Who's Talking and Look Who's Talking 2.
Right.
Where Bruce Willis was the baby in Look Who's Talking.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't Michael Keaton the dad or something?
No. It was John Travolta.
Oh, that's right.
John Travolta and the other parent was
the mom.
Why can't I think of her name right now?
Michelle Pfeiffer.
No, I'm gonna remember it in a minute, and then I'm gonna yell it.
So here's my idea. We take some babies, well, let's say 18 months to 2 years old, toddlers, and make a Rugrats movie. So just come up with an original story about the babies breaking out, pulling the screwdriver out of his
not
diaper.
doing just like the plot from the cartoon movie where they get lost in the woods with the monkeys?
No, like a whole new original story, but about the Rugrats. So here was my thought, though. The voice acting for all of the babies, cast the best like comedians in Hollywood right now. So like Bill Hader, Seth Rogen, Michael Cera. Like get basically the cast of Sausage Party to do the voice of the babies.
So you want this to be a Judd Apatow Rugrats movie?
Yes, I want a Judd Apatow Rugrats movie.
Fair enough.
But I want the voices to all be that gang, Paul Rudd, all them.
Jonah Hill.
Yes.
Danny McBride.
Them do.
Danny McBride would be a great fill.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And even have like if like other babies they encounter, like who might have just like cameos. So have like Will Ferrell be one baby, and Steve Carell be a baby. But then,
weirdly enough, in the Rugrats movie, Bruce Willis was the dog.
He was the dog.
He was Spike.
Yeah. So
sorry, I just thought about that.
But then I want all these.
They would have to bring Bruce Willis back as Spike.
Yeah, obviously. But Spike wouldn't have any speaking lines. It would just be barking. But then if Bruce Willis reprised the role, just barking.
That's perfect.
I would want the adults, so the parents of Stu and whatever the mom's name was, and the grandpa, and all the Angelica's parents, and all this. I want them all played by like really like Academy Award winning like thespian actors.
So have like Anthony Hopkins be
the grandpa. Have like Tom Hanks be Stu. Like literally like all of the most like high like quality actors. Like Benedict Cumberbatch be the dad of Phil and Lil. Like
Phil and Lil didn't have it. Oh wait, no,
yes, they
he
did.
He was just
that guy with the crazy hair.
He was a total cuck.
Yeah. Yes. Like literally have like the best actors right now play the parents, and then have these like ridiculous pot smoking like comedians play the babies' voices.
Okay, I could dig that.
I have no idea.
They would be in so few scenes; it would be awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, it would just be every now and then. Sarah Silverman can do the voice of Angelica. That would be pretty good.
Yeah, either her, like maybe Kristen Schaal,
or what's Katie Schumer wouldn't be.
Amy Schumer.
Amy Schumer. Yeah, that's my bad. Amy Schumer would be maybe some character. We'll find something for her to do. But
like Lil. No, you know what? Kristen Schaal is Lil.
Yeah.
Angelica's definitely Sarah Silverman.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. So yeah, that's my pitch for Rugrats. No idea what the plot would be. Just put them on one baby adventure. Get a little craziness. Have like the dudes who wrote the Lego Movie. Have them write the script or something.
Maybe it's one of the adventures of Okie Dokie Jones.
I don't know. I have no idea what it would be. It would be something where the baby's using their imagination, and then it gets out of hand, and all this crazy stuff happens.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see the imagination world, and then it cuts back to like the real world when the parents are just talking and pushing them in strollers.
Yeah, kind of like
it cuts back to them in like driving race cars and stuff.
Right, and I would like to maybe make like Seth Rogen the voice of Tommy Pickles or something.
That's fair.
I think it'd be a good movie.
Just seeing his little gums pull back and
exactly. And then but for Dill, the only baby that doesn't talk is Dill, right?
Yeah.
So for baby Dill, have actually have like Will Ferrell or something be Dill, but literally just make baby noises. Like actually Will Ferrell would be perfect at that too.
Yeah, because every now and again he would be like, "Is that Will Ferrell?" Because he wouldn't just be like, ah, ah. He'd be like, "Go go 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 go."
Yeah, absolutely. Like be very like overt on his nonsense.
You would just hear him blowing raspberries into a microphone and getting paid $1 million to do it.
And then maybe have like one other baby, and it's John C. Reilly also doing his baby voices.
For sure.
Yeah, that'd be really good. Or have the two of them just go back and forth.
Yeah, they just make baby noises.
One of them does the crying, and one does like the goo-goos and gagas.
Yeah, that'd be
so
great.
that's my pitch for Rugrats, the movie.
All right, I like that. I am going to... that one sounds like a lot of fun. I'm going to do one that's a bit more serious to start with. I think could be really cool. All right, we have talked about how awesome the Iron Giant is.
Multiple times.
On many an occasion. I was thinking, what if we had a live-action Iron Giant, put it in the hands of Guillermo del Toro. You know how much he likes big robots.
I actually have a Guillermo del Toro idea for robots too, but go ahead.
Yeah. Again, it's a period piece. It's 1950s, America up in the Northeast. So racial tensions are a bit better, but it's still the 1950s. It's not as bad as it is in the South. But because of that, we have an alien coming from outer space. He's an automatic outcast. Mm-hmm. We got a guy that lives in a junkyard and is part of this new wave, like, beatnik sort of thing. This is even, like, before the hippie movement.
He is a beatnik. That is confirmed in the movie.
So that's another, like, kind of outsider thing. But Hogarth, other than being a kid from a single parent, what's his thing? I think we should change it and make Hogarth and his mother both black characters.
Ooh, add some racial tension in there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if we're going to make this a feature film, we're going to have to flesh out the plot a little bit more, get a little bit more of Hogarth in school, and think about how more intense the reaction would be between him and the detective if the detective is not just disregarding him because he's a little boy, but also because he's calling him boy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. And also that would create a stronger connection with him and the Giant because they're both in 1950s Maine. They're both going to be outsiders.
That's what I'm saying. Like they both don't belong, and even then, Beatnik character doesn't really belong.
Right.
So the bond between all three characters would feel that much stronger.
You know who I think would be a perfect to play the Beatnik guy? Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo would be good for that.
Perfect.
I was thinking for the boy, the kid from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
I think he'd be really good.
He'd be perfect too.
Obviously, still keep Vin Diesel as the Giant.
Yeah, sure.
He killed it. Maybe his mom would be like...
Who's that chick from, what's the show called, like Scandalous or something? Or...
Oh, Scandal.
Yeah, Scandal.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of the actress.
I think
yeah.
she'd be good. She's really good.
Yeah, she would be good. And then...
Because Hogarth's mom is a young single mother.
Yeah. You wouldn't go for, like, Viola Davis or anything like that.
I mean, that'd be great, but...
Yeah. And then the other thing... Well, she's also supposed to be kind of...
Oh, and
attractive.
You know the... Oh, who would play the Mansfield or whatever?
The detective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the agent. He's like an FBI agent.
Yeah. I was thinking Michael Keaton.
Okay, I was going to say...
Going, like, full, let's get nuts.
See, I was going to say either Michael Keaton or the guy who played Shooter McGavin. I always thought, like...
Oh, yeah.
He would be perfect.
I can't think of that guy's name,
His name
His name is
Shooter McGavin.
Yeah.
But he looks just like him, and I feel like even pulling off some of the Shooter, like, persona...
Was that the voice of that actor?
It might have been... He might have done the voice, actually.
In hindsight, I think it was his voice.
I actually
think
you might be right. I'll look it up right now.
I'll look that up.
Keep giving your thoughts.
No, but I was thinking maybe Michael Keaton's too old for the role, but they never really gave an age to that character.
He had to be in like his 40s.
And I just thought that Michael Keaton would be awesome, going full crazy.
It was Christopher McDonald.
Christopher McDonald.
He played Kent Mansley.
Yeah, no shit. Okay, Shooter McGavin, Kent Mansley. Okay, maybe he could just reprise the role,
or we pick a different actor. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that would be could be really, really good, and deal with. Obviously, the movie was dealing with the whole nuclear proliferation thing that was going on at the time.
Right.
This would be a little bit smaller in the fact that it would also deal with racial tensions, but also it would be really important to what's going on right now, both in talks of racial equality here in the United States, as well as talking about. We're dealing with Russia again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think that, don't get me wrong, Guillermo del Toro would be cool just because it's a giant robot, but honestly, I think you put that bad boy in the hands of like J.J. Abrams and make it like Super 8-ish, and I think you have yourself like a great movie.
Didn't Steven Spielberg do Super 8?
Produced it. This is a J.J. Abrams movie.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Or even
J.J. Abrams is like young Steven Spielberg, isn't he?
Or even I think like Robert Zemeckis is getting older, but I think he could make a really sweet movie too.
The problem with Zemeckis is that he seems to live in a world where 9/11 didn't happen. Like he still thinks it's like great to just blow up like national monuments.
Okay, but that would be fine in this movie because there's a lot of destruction in it.
I don't know. Actually, truth be told, I'd give it to it. I'd put it in the hands of the guys that did Stranger Things. Just give them a budget where they could make giant robots, because that interpersonal connection's what made that show so great.
And you only need to make one giant robot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my god, dude! Think about the scene where the robot goes into full battle mode when the giant goes back. That would be crazy.
Or the flying against the fighters.
Yeah.
Just prolong that scene and make it a legit action scene could be really cool.
Basically, that would be a great freaking movie.
Yeah, I think the live-action Iron Giant would be a really fun one, and one that I'm surprised there hasn't been any talk about, because that could bring in a lot of money.
Oh yeah, all of us 90s kids who loved that movie would go see it.
For sure.
It was
and you know what? That movie was a sleeper. It didn't do super well at the box office.
But it's a cult classic.
But everyone knows the Iron Giant.
And loves it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I would check out Iron Giant live action.
How about you? You got any other ideas?
Yeah, so my second is I'm going to stick with the Nickelodeon cartoon shows for a second before we get into more serious stuff. So imagine a show featuring 4 teenage, preteen-ish people who like a set of specific activities. I'm going to read you the list, and you tell me what you think. They like to go surfing. They like to ride skateboards. they like to play street hockey. And occasionally, they like to go to the snack shack and eat burgers.
Fish tacos.
Fish tacos with their dad and this Hawaiian guy. Rocket Power.
Angry Beavers.
No, Rocket Power.
Hey, Arnold.
Rocket Power, the movie. So just
Starring
literally
Doug.
I have no idea who you'd cast in it. Some kids who are good actors and
Yeah,
also
just
good skateboard.
basically just go to the Disney Channel, grab 4 people out of a lineup,
No,
put them in this movie.
Or go to Venice Beach and just find 4 kids that can act that are skateboarding.
And be like, hey, Zac Efron, we need you to dye your hair.
Yeah. No, I think honestly it would be cool. I would want it to be like one of those movies that it's making fun of itself. Like it knows it's silly.
For sure.
So, like super exaggerate, like major beefage, man. Like exaggerate, just like that. That's
Or like throw it up on the screen like the 1966 Batman where it's like major beef.
yes, like exactly like how Rocket Power was. But I want them to like break the fourth wall every now and then. So like when, for instance, do the Super McVarial 900 and land that and be like, dude, like isn't he 12? Like how'd he do that?
Yeah.
Like every now and then. I think that's another one that I think if you give like the Lego movie writers the script, like help them pen the script for that, I think it'd be really, really good. So yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of details fleshed on this. I just thought Rocket Power the movie could be kind of cool.
Totally.
Prepare for action, Rocket Power.
Yeah, no, I feel like that one would. I think it could be a lot of fun. I don't know if that would make it past the realm of TV movie, but
Oh no, it would be a big budget live action. You know what? Have Michael Bay direct it.
that's perfect.
Literally, Michael Bay direct the Rocket Power movie.
Yeah, that's really cool. Rocket Power, I think, could be great.
Yeah.
For my next one, I want to go back to going dark and gritty on this one. I want to see a period piece, ancient China, a female protagonist. I'm talking Mulan.
Ooh, Fa Mulan.
Yes, Fa Mulan. Again, this would be not a silly comic-y.
No, it'd be it's gonna be a war movie.
It's a war movie. We don't need Eddie Murphy as a dragon.
No.
Even though he was great in the cartoon version.
Right.
Whatever.
Dude, have Benedict Cumberbatch be the dragon.
Is there going to be a dragon?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You
You need to keep the mystic elements of it.
Well, yeah, but that then becomes like a joke, right?
No.
Like she has a pet dragon, but he's tiny.
Make it like a dragon spirit.
That like she just speaks to.
Yeah. Or just actually no, what about have just a scene where she like speaks to her ancestors and
And one of them is Benedict Cumberbatch.
well, Benedict Cumberbatch is the voice of all of them. He could
Whitewashing of history.
Have that scene like where she speaks to the spirits, like make it kind of like almost like the scene in The Prince of Egypt when he talked to the burning bush. Like that was an impactful scene that had the mysticism in there.
Yeah.
And then how about have her be blessed instead of with like an actual dragon? It's like a small like jade dragon or something, and she calls it Mushu and like just keeps it as like a relic or something. So it's not actually a character; it's like a thing that she finds.
Yeah, for sure. Because again, I don't want it to become a joke. I want this to be legit. The whole thing has kind of a darker kind of color to it, except for like obviously you get these big scenes like the parade. You know what I mean? Where they're invading, and that would be bright colors. It would kind of break from the darkness of the mountain scene.
Can we make the action in those scenes, not the war scenes, but the actual like small combat in the street scenes, the way that the Assassin's Creed movie should have done action?
Oh, for sure. No, this would be a lot of strong choreography. I wanted to have that old kung fu movie sort of vibe.
So we definitely want to have from Rogue One. I'm drawing a blank.
Gareth Edwards?
No, the actor who played the blind guy.
Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen. He has to be in this movie.
For sure.
Okay.
I thought maybe either the Emperor or her father would be Chow Yun-fat.
Okay, that'd be good.
For the actress,
To play Mulan?
I was thinking maybe the girl that played Katana in
Suicide Squad?
Suicide Squad.
Okay.
She wasn't awful.
No,
I mean,
she's not
obviously
bad.
she's Japanese. She's not Chinese,
Right.
but I can't rattle off a bunch of Chinese actors right now.
Who's the Chinese actress who plays on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Ma Wen.
She's Chinese, right?
Yeah,
She would be good.
I believe. Yeah, I feel like she might be too old. Isn't the idea that Mulan is getting married off because she's like a teenager?
Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, Katana might be too old.
We
but-
could definitely find a good young Chinese actress, for sure.
for sure. But yeah, I just think it could be like, obviously you have the war scenes like in the mountain
Right.
where you have these massive forces, but when it gets down to the small fighting in the street sort of thing, I want to have that really cool like 70s kung fu movie sort of vibe. You know,
Could
Jackie Chan with the throwing buckets around and flipping and going under stuff.
Can Jason Momoa play one of the Huns?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Huns were pretty varied group of people. They weren't weren't just like Mongolians or anything like that.
Right.
So for sure, Jason Momoa could be
Chow Lu or whatever his name is.
yeah, I can't think
The
of
bad
his,
guy, the main villain. His
Yeah.
name was something like that.
or we could have an Asian actor be that.
That's true.
But yeah, no, I could totally see that. That would be I think it could be a really good movie. Not the type of thing you bring your kids to, obviously. Because that avalanche scene is going to be
Shan Yu was his name.
Shan Yu. That avalanche scene is going to be very graphic.
Oh yeah.
And terrifying. I thought maybe that we could do like a long sustained shot thing of them like escaping the avalanche.
So you would say no singing?
No.
Not even the "Let's get down to business."
No, I thought maybe it would be good if they took some of the songs and made them like big,
like army marching anthems.
yeah, like big musical pieces. So
Right.
like when they're marching, you have the dun 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 dun.
Well, when they're
dun.
marching, they
those
would sing
those
the-
would be the big shots where you see them marching across the mountains or whatever.
Right.
Or like the sad moments where she's like leaving her family or whatever. You just get the hint of the music
Right.
without actually having them break
When
into song.
her reflection shows who she is inside.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I thought you could do a little touch of that as like a nod, because obviously this is still going to be made by Disney.
Right.
But just because it's Disney doesn't mean it has to be a kids movie, as we've starting to find out. And yeah, I think it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I would see it. I don't think it would ever happen because I think Disney's too big on making these movies kid friendly.
Oh yeah, no, they would never give it an R rating,
But
even though I feel like they would need to.
But it could be
I
cool.
think what could be a really cool shot is if we see the avalanche from the avalanche's perspective.
Right.
Like the camera follows the avalanche down the mountain as it overruns the armies.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a really great shot to see them like turn and the look of panic as they're trying to get away.
Right.
As opposed to, you always see something like that from the view of the bottom of the mountain up. And I think it'd be cool to just be cascading with the avalanche.
Right.
I think that'd be a cool shot.
So, my third thought here was a Cartoon Network cartoon, moving away from Nickelodeon. So, what if we made a movie about Dexter, the boy genius?
Oh,
A
okay.
Dexter's Lab movie. Go all out in terms of CG, but like good CG for his creations and his robots. Build a big set for his laboratory, but make the movie just this boy, and then we can get a girl actress to play Dee Dee, his sister, and a Mandark, and just make it like this silly movie about this kid who is basically like a Big Hero 6, but like live action. Like this genius kid who builds this stuff and gets into some mischief.
Okay.
I think it'd be cool.
That one was the least fleshed out of your ideas.
I mean, okay, so I would think the plot would be like Dexter. It like basically tells the story of like Dexter's life. Like it starts with him as like a baby and how he became like he got discovered and went to like got his doctoral degree as a little kid or something. And then
Even though he's still in elementary school or
I
middle school.
no
whatever
I
it
would
is.
say in the movie I want him to be like a Doogie Howser kind of.
Yeah,
so
okay.
have him working for like the Pentagon or something when
Or
he's
like,
like 13.
or he's like working at JPL or
Yeah,
whatever.
when he's like 13, and he's like building stuff, and then there's some threat comes to Earth, like aliens or a comet or I don't know, and he has to try and stop it, and then Mandark just shows up. I don't know. It would be a stupid movie, but it'd be funny. Like it's all three of mine would definitely be comedies. Like
Yeah.
it'd be funny movies, but like
Whereas I'm looking for Oscar bait.
no, I'm looking for like movies we'd be like, oh, this is hilarious. I've always wanted to see Dexter's Lab, the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of, oh, by the way, pause. If you've never seen Dexter's Lab, the movie, the cartoon movie that was released on Cartoon Network, where Dexter had to team up with other Dexters from throughout time, like his
Oh yeah.
That movie was
where he
sweet.
teams up with the big burly version of himself from the future.
yes, that movie was absolutely sweet. But,
Okay. Yeah, that could be cool.
yeah. So I mean, the Dexter movie, we'll see how it goes, but I think it'd be cool.
Okay, now the next one I'm going to say is probably if any of the people listening to this are like die hard Studio Ghibli, like Miyazaki fans, they're probably going to hate me for bringing this up. But I think Princess Mononoke is such an awesome material.
It's a great movie.
And I know the whole idea is, like, it's awesome because the hand drawn and the hand painted, and like Miyazaki is such an expert at understanding light and shadow and color and whatnot. And the idea of, like, the first shot where we see the prince running behind the leaves and the shadows passing over him, it's so beautiful, and it's so small, but you see it and you're like, that was done frame by frame. You know what I mean? They had to make the shadows move past him every time. That's fantastic. The idea of doing it live action might seem sacrilegious, but I don't want it to be a straight up one-to-one remake. This is one of the ones where, like, for instance, Ghost in the Shell, we're getting an Americanized version of it. I could totally see this being a westernized version of the same idea.
Right.
Maybe instead of calling the movie Princess Mononoke, you'd call it, like, The Wolf Princess.
Or something
like that. And it would be the story of a kid from, like, the chief of a small village, or the son of the chief or whatever, who gets the curse and is trying to break it, just like in the movie. You could have these awesome live action, like the giant boar, you know what I mean, and
right.
the demon and whatnot, would be done in the kind of the same style that they're doing with the Jungle Book movies, where they look like real giant animals.
Right. Keanu Reeves plays the prince.
No.
Yeah, he was in that sword fighting movie.
47 Ronin?
Something like that.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's basically Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I haven't decided on casting yet. But in any case, yeah, I would love to see. Now, obviously, we would have to westernize the plot a little bit, because it is, especially the third act of that movie, is so strongly Japanese. Mm-hmm. And when I say that, what I mean is that there is an assumption of mythology that, like if I make a mention to something from Greek mythology or something from Norse or Roman mythology, I can make that reference in pop culture, and most people will get it. Now,
right.
There's some that might be a little bit more obscure. But
if you say by the beard of Zeus, they know what you're talking about.
I say something about, like, oh, it's a hydra,
yeah.
You know, people know what that is. When you're talking about Far Eastern mythology, there's also a master narrative over there that is assumed knowledge. Like, they don't explain why hatred just makes something into a demon in the movie. It's just an assumption that you know that.
Right.
And why the spirit of the forest at night turns into that giant walking thing. Mm-hmm. And when they cut off its head, it becomes a giant monster and kills everything until they get the head back. I'm sure that makes total sense over there. Here, it's really confusing because they don't give any context for it. So I feel like we would need to westernize it a little bit. Either give a explanation as to how a spirit of the forest, like the what they call them, you know, the gods of the forest, with the god of the boars and the god of the wolves and whatnot, can become a demon if their soul is corrupted.
Right.
Or that there are demons that live in the woods, and by man cutting down the trees, they've been able to escape and inhabit these giant forest creatures, whatever. Mm-hmm. We would have to westernize it a little bit because there would have to be some hand-holding, or this movie would make no sense to a Western audience. Also, I think you need to clean up the end of that movie where it's just like a river of sludge taking over. I mean, you remember that giant river of ink that's kind of like going over everything. Makes for a really confusing end of that film.
Yeah.
I feel like you cut that down and instead give us more of like the war scene between the apes and the boars and the wolves. Right. Or when the boars are attacking the humans and the humans are blowing up the boars, but there's thousands of them. Those could be really cool action set pieces if you put this movie in the hands of, say, Peter Jackson, give it the full Lord of the Rings treatment.
If you've never seen Princess Mononoke, you definitely want to check it out. It's Miyazaki, so it's Japanese animation, but all of his films are really, really, really good, and that's probably one of the best of them all.
They're absolutely beautiful. The thing about this one is that it's more adult. It's far gorier, and there's far more action than you would see. A lot of his other films are much more geared towards kids.
Or like young adults, like Castle in the Sky.
Or My Neighbor Totoro, or Spirited Away.
Yeah.
They're much more simple. This one is much darker. The other thing is the ending of it is in no way a Western ending. The idea that they go their separate ways. She goes to rebuild. He helps the humans rebuild. They don't end up together. You know what I mean? Like that is not a Western ending. But I like it that just because they are attracted to one another doesn't mean they're destined to be together.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they understand that their obligation is to their people, not to each other.
Very General Zod of them.
Yeah. I think that was probably his inspiration.
Yeah.
I think you can make for a really awesome big movie. And the thing is, a lot of people were disappointed with the Hobbit trilogy, and I feel like Peter Jackson, he doesn't have anything to do with Kong Skull Island, does he?
No.
Yeah, I feel like he needs something to kind of
Get back in the spotlight.
Because Lord of the Rings is like, yeah, no, Peter Jackson. Who was this guy before? Who knows? Lord of the Rings, yeah, Peter Jackson is, a household title. So we need something big. And I think the Wolf Princess or the Spirit of the Forest or whatever you would want to call it could be that movie.
Yeah, or cast Japanese actors and make it Princess Mononoke.
Well, you could, but I feel like then it's just a foreign film, and you don't need to have an American director or wherever Peter Jackson's from.
I think he's from I thought, is he from New Zealand?
I don't know. But you wouldn't need a Westerner. Then you could just make a live action foreign film, but I'm thinking of something that's going to play in international markets.
I guess. Well, you heard it here then. Did you have any others, or is that it? Because I'm kind of sold.
Oh, yeah? You didn't have any others? There was one more that I was thinking about. It's a movie that I still like, but maybe it's because I'm looking at it through nostalgia filters. Titan AE.
Ah, yes.
One of the biggest flops of all time, by the way.
It was okay.
I feel like it
the plot
could
was cool.
be really cool.
The plot was cool.
Yeah, the idea of there's these monsters that are just wiping out the universe, and there's an arc that could reestablish a new Earth.
Yeah, they destroyed the old Earth. And
yeah,
we need a new Earth.
That could be really cool. The thing is, we need new stuff to set up franchises and whatnot, because right now we're just gonna get more Marvel movies, just gonna get more DC movies, just gonna get more Star Wars movies. Don't get me wrong, I love all those things, but when a new idea comes out, like Jupiter Ascending, just because it was bad doesn't mean that it should be completely shunned, because we want to see new stuff.
We just need new stuff that's good. Basically, we need Christopher Nolan just to make 20 movies a year.
Or the Russo brothers, or there are a lot of great directors out there.
Yeah, but they do. I'm saying, they're the ones who work with stuff that already exists. Nolan is making his own stuff, with the exception of Batman. But
yeah, so I would like to see, and obviously Titan AE would be not an original material, but I feel like there's enough in that universe that we could see, because it jumps in time from when the Earth is destroyed to when
the main character
is an adult. There's a lot of time period in there where the humans are refugees in space, and they're starting to spread out and try to repopulate.
You know what else?
The human race.
You know, a Disney one that was kind of sort of like that would also be really cool. Treasure Planet. That is a really underrated movie. It is. Oh,
yeah, Treasure Planet's fun.
And if they made a Treasure Planet live action, that would be sweet.
Those two things could take place in the same universe.
They could.
The other thing about Titan AE that I think is a valid point is just something very simple that happens when we first see him as an adult, and he's cutting the scrap of that giant laser. I don't know if you remember that scene, but that's where he gets introduced, and he's listening to rock music as he's cutting the stuff with the giant laser.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the character right now.
No, I don't remember any of the characters' names.
But one of the aliens says humans, they're roaches or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's this idea that the humans are the refugee crisis to the universe.
Oh my God! Did you know Matt Damon was the voice of the main character in that movie?
What was the name of the character?
And Mikhail Tucker. And Drew Barrymore was the girl.
John Leguizamo was in it.
Ron
Janine Garofalo. Holy crap! That movie had a good cast. It should have done better. It's probably ill marketed.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best movie.
No, it wasn't the best movie, but it was a cartoon movie starring Matt Damon.
Yeah.
It should have done better.
Yeah. I always thought that the main character looked like James Van Der Beek, though.
Oh, yeah, it totally did.
Weird.
But yeah, I think that idea that humans as a whole are the refugee crisis to the galaxy could be something really interesting to delve into. That could be a series of movies that leads up to the recreation of Earth.
Yeah.
And that Titan AE is just the end of the story.
Yeah.
But
could be cool.
I think it could be a really good series of films.
Yeah. And also, it's always cool just to have We need more like cool space movies
Absolutely.
that are not called Star Wars or Star Trek.
Or Jupiter Ascending. We don't
Yeah.
need to see, what's his name?
Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum. I was going to call him Jason Tate.
We don't need to see Channing Tatum
We
in
need to see
anything.
Channing Tatum as a dog.
We don't need to see Channing Tatum in any movie. Like, ever.
Well, do you want a female audience?
So I think that about does it for the Strong of the Geek this week.
Yeah. I think that will do it. So if you want to follow us online, you can check us out on Twitter. I'm at the Ben Ramirez. He's at Ramrez4Prez. That's the number 4. Or you can follow us at Strong and Geek. You can also check us out if you're listening to this on iTunes. We're also on SoundCloud and on YouTube. Go listen to both of those and listen to this 3 times so that we get the extra views. Make sure you like and comment on what you think we should do for future episodes or what you thought. Maybe if you also want to suggest a cartoon that you think would make a great film, we could discuss it on next week's episode. Make sure you also subscribe so that you can, and click on the notifications button so that you can get updated when we put out new episodes. You can email us at the strongofthegeek@gmail.com, and you can also check us out on our Facebook page.
And you can stay strong.
Oh, and stay geek.
トンカシラで吐き捨てでほうやて We are わかんなねひぴ We are 泣かせじんでほうやてへへへへやへやへやほわかたんからわかたんからわかたんからわかたんから We are わかんな We are わかんな We are わかんな We are わかんなほうやてでほうやてでほうやてでほうやてへへへやへやへやほわかたんからトンカシラ
Welcome to the post-credit scene.
Post-credits.
I am DJ Batman. Playing this track at the club, Iceberg Lounge in Gotham City.
DJ Batman.
Rachel!
Rachel.
You're really killing my vibe here, dude. This is DJ Robin. He just follows me around and repeats what I say.
Hey guys, it's me, DJ Robin.
Holy batshit, Batman.
Holy that shit, Batman.
Ah.